Hey everybody, we're the good doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Erin.
I am Dr. Kristen.
And you are very welcome to our YouTube channel. We are two social scientists with PhDs who look at a whole host of different kinds of pop culture and lived culture. We love to have conversations about everything from systemic racism to Bridgerton. And we also love romance novels, which is why we are talking about Bridgerton for so many reasons. If you have just joined us, you're very welcome. We've got lots of Bridgerton content for you. Obviously, episode discussions for each individual episode, and 3 special videos dealing with a primer introduction to what is the romance genre, which we feel is very important given what we've seen people and heard people say about Bridgerton. We have one on diversity and inclusivity in Bridgerton and representation, and we have one on body shape diversity. All very important and interesting discussions that we really liked having and people have engaged with. But what we are here for today is our discussion of the season finale, episode 8, After the Rain. If you watched our episode 7 coverage, you know that we think these last 2 episodes crammed way too much into them and should have been 4 or 5 episodes. And we even got in our episode 7 recap confused with events that happen in episode 8.
Yeah, because they just like blend together.
Together so much. But let's do a real whirling dervish recap of After the Rain. This episode really focuses on kind of the truth of several marriages. We get the Queen's marriage, we get the Featheringtons' marriage, Will's marriage a little bit, Violet missing her husband, and then obviously Daphne and Simon and their quest for the happily ever after, which comes at the end of this episode. So let's deal with everything else and then we'll get to Daphne and Simon because they're obviously the big deals. We're not super huge fans of the Eloise trying to find Whistledown, but that does happen. She thinks it's Madame Delacroix. She finds out it's not Madame Delacroix at the end of the episode. Whole thing with her and Benedict over it being Madame Delacroix, not being Madame Delacroix. I don't care. At the end,
if you didn't read the books and that particular storyline was really fascinating to you, let us know, because like as book readers, we were just like, this is a waste of time. But it may not have been if you don't know the beats of the book. So please let us know.
And I know that like we introduced Eloise and we have to give her something to do. She's not going to go to university even though she wants to. So we have to keep her busy. Like I get it. I'm not saying, but yeah, I think we're not sure. What we're saying is we're not sure if we didn't like it because we read the books and it's a waste of time, or what did you guys think about it? Please let us know. So that happens a lot. Francesca comes back, our dear Francesca. For those of you keeping track of the Bridgerton siblings, she's entirely written out of this season because she's playing piano in Bath with a cousin. Who knows?
She's in Scotland at school somehow. We already get the Scotland connection, I thought.
Anyway. I don't know where she was. I know she was playing piano because she has to show Daphne what she's learned.
Yeah.
But we do get a book reference that we wanted to point out because we're super excited. So other Bridgerton nerds out there will be also really excited. Hyacinth asks Anthony if she will be allowed to play Pall Mall at Aubrey Hall in their fun this summer. I think she says like join you in the game. She doesn't mention Pall Mall, but if any of you out there have read the Bridgerton,
but then he mentions a mallet and his favorite mallet, which is the mallet of death.
He says as long as you don't touch my lucky mallet, which we all know is the mallet of death. So if you don't know what this is, folks who just watched the show, be excited because that means it's happening in season 2.
And it's a really, really fun part of Kate and Anthony. And so it was also another confirmation that we are getting Kate and Anthony's story kind of as promised. Like they're not going to mess around with it too much.
They're not going to mess around with it too much. Yeah, because the majority of their story takes place at Aubrey Hall, which is the Bridgertons'
summer home.
Summer estate, country estate. So all very exciting news for us Bridgerton fans, whether you've read the books or not, but that was a particular node to fans of the books, and so I was really excited. Okay, Marina learns she's not with child. She tries to apologize to Penelope. Doesn't go so well. They receive a caller at Featherington House. It is Sir Philip Crane.
The brother.
We find out that George Crane died in Spain in the war. Philip Crane is now Sir Philip Crane, inheriting the estate, comes to tell Marina what has happened and to propose to her because he feels like he has to do what his brother would have wanted him to do. Marina at this point thinks she's not pregnant. And so she's like, I don't need you. I'm gonna marry for love. And then she finds out that she is pregnant, and then she's like, oh shit. I really do need a husband. And she says yes to Philip Crane. Philip Crane comes into book 5 in the Bridgerton series, which is the connection. And in the books, he was married to a woman named Marina. What will happen to Marina or Philip Crane or book 5? We don't know.
It's technically Eloise's story.
Technically, Philip Crane is Eloise's life partner, folks.
So we don't know what's happening, but this is another reason why we're like, oh, could they queer Eloise? That would be interesting. Like,
who knows what's gonna happen?
Who knows what they're gonna do?
We get Will's fight, and the conclusion of the Featherington story is a little bit weird. But Will does throw the fight. Lord Featherington wins a crap ton of money and then spends a crap ton of money, but he wins that money from some dubious looking gentlemen, dun dun dun, who end up killing him at the end of the episode, which I did not see coming. I did not see necessary, but there you go. And then we get the evolution. I think we've covered everybody else. So now it's Daphne and Simon.
No, Anthony and Sienna.
Oh, Anthony and Sienna.
So Anthony shows up at her doorstep for like a last ditch attempt that no one wanted, including Sienna.
Yeah, after they sleep together under the bleachers at Will's fight.
I mean, sleep is very generous after,
Well, I was just trying not to swear.
No, it's fair. There is no intimacy necessarily under those bleachers. There is fornicating under the bleachers.
There you go. They have sex. My instinct is to go for the F word, and I try not to swear on our YouTube channel. So
yeah, that's totally fair. But I didn't want viewers to think that it was some sort of like really like there was a bed involved.
There was not.
There was standing.
There was no cuddles.
There was no cuddles. It was athletic. She is not here for his forced, we can change the world. Like, this is the scene in Greatest Showman with Zendaya and Zac Efron where he's like, I really love you. And she's like, could you please? And he's like, we're going to rewrite the stars. And she's like, you're a nut job. So like, thankfully it worked out for them in Greatest Showman, which I really love. But thankfully it appears that we have said goodbye to Sienna. And we know that also because at the end of the episode, Anthony, in an incredibly Anthony Bridgerton move, tells Daphne and Simon that he's going to get married, and Simon's like, to who? And he's like, I don't know, figure it out.
I don't know. Trope watch.
I need a wife, anyone will do.
Removing love from the situation.
There's actually romance novels I think called Any Wife Will Do. Like, it's
like men who believe that love is the problem.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's
Spoiler
gonna be glorious.
alert, folks. They will always find the love.
Always find love.
This is how the romance works. Yeah, so it's literally one of my favorite things.
Oh my God, I laughed so hard when he said that. And my mother was watching with me. I looked at her. My mom goes, until he meets Kate.
And this is one of those book show differences that I think that is worth pointing out as well, because the Anthony in the book always, as we're introduced to Anthony in book 1, already thinks that.
Correct.
Thinks that love is, he's not going to find it. There's no purpose.
Because no love story can be as good as his parents. Also because when you love someone, they die.
Yeah, and because his father died from a bee sting when he was 18, and it gives Anthony this complex. He is convinced that he is going to die by the time of his father's age, which is like 32 or something.
Yeah.
And he's close to that. So like there's no point in marrying for love because he's just going to die and he doesn't want to leave the person that he loves. So he's not going to marry for love.
So instead he's just going to screw over Benedict, who he hasn't prepared to be the Viscount at all. There's a whole lot of holes in Anthony's thinking.
There's a lot of holes in Anthony's story, but like I was encouraged that they eventually got to the Anthony that shows up in book 2 that is like, love is useless.
Yeah.
So I love Johnny Bailey so much. I I think that conversation with Sienna probably needed to happen, but it totally could have happened in episode 4. And the will they or won't they, I did not care. I was not invested. I did not
And
care.
I want more space between Sienna and Kate. Like, just...
I don't want Kate to look like a rebound either.
Oh, she's not.
No. Yeah, so... Yeah.
We'll cover that all in next season. Don't worry. Our feelings about Anthony and Kate are well established. So now it is time to go back to
talk about
Daphne and Diamond.
Daphne and Diamond. Yeah, so this is the episode where Daphne figures out exactly what's going on with her husband. Not because he uses his words, mind you.
God forbid. Well, he does use his words, just not with Daphne.
Correct. Things are thawing between the two of them, certainly in this episode. The final ball of the season is going to be at Hastings' house, at their house. So that is the crux of this episode, is getting to the Hastings ball. Daphne and Simon go back and forth. She's pushing him. He's like, I'm doing this for your own good. Why won't you tell me about your father? Back and forth and back and forth. She finally discovers letters that Simon wrote to his father that his father never opened in his desk, which we got a hint to in an earlier episode when Simon found them in Hastings' house. And Lady D fills in some holes in terms of Simon's relationship with his father and how he feels about perfection and how he feels about choice and love and all of these things. So thanks, Lady D, for the shout. You helped our Daphne. And we get to the end on the Hastings ball, where Simon is still going to leave. Daphne is trying to get him not to. He's like, no, we're living our separate lives. We will have one last dance. The beautiful portrait from Granville appears, and it's all just, the decorating was just so fantastic.
The set design in this show is upsettingly perfect.
It's so, so good.
Yeah.
Will shows up. He seems happy with his choice. Happy as Larry. Love it. Eloise and Daphne reach an understanding. We're starting to close all of these plots. Penelope is going to tell Colin that she loves him, which doesn't happen in the books. It made me very nervous. And then Colin says, I'm traveling to Greece, which he does in the books. And Penelope reels it in. The Anthony and Sienna of it all. Sorry, looking at my notes. Eloise finds out that the queen is going for Whistledown and is able to warn her, thus saving her identity. Eloise does not see who it is, but at the end of the episode, as you all know, they show us that it is in fact Penelope Featherington, which we knew. But if you didn't, that's a big surprise. And then we get Rain at the ball, ruins all the plans during the waltz, and Daphne finally just says, Simon, you get to choose. Nobody else gets to choose. It's a beautiful...
Which vow are you going to hold? It's entirely your choice. Yeah.
It's entirely your choice. And you are hurting both of us if you continue to do this. But you...
I'm not him, because he's dead.
Exactly. You have to make the choice. It's a beautiful scene. I could watch Reggae John Page get rained on for the better part of 2 weeks and not be tired of that view. And it leads to their reconciliation. He says, I don't know how to do this. They figure it out. They're gonna make it work, folks, which we all knew that they were going to. And then they have sex again, which why wouldn't we all? And that's the end-ish. Colin leaves on his journey.
Yeah, everyone disperses because it's the end of the season. So this is the end of the season is June, I think. May, June. Because they can't do any of this when it's boiling hot in London. And boiling hot is 75 degrees, but it's still boiling hot.
Yeah, I think this season is March.
April, May, June, something like that. Yeah.
March to June. Yes, so they all go out to the summer for to the country for the summer.
It smells better out there.
So everybody is dispersing. The Bridgerton goodbye. When Colin leaves, I love all the Bridgertons of the Bridgerton house. And we get the Anthony telling Simon and Daphne
And the looks on their faces are perfect.
Okay.
And we'll tell you too, we've said it before, but I'll say it again. A huge part of book 2 is Daphne absolutely giving Anthony a whole ton of shit about his like, I'm going to marry no matter what thing.
Yeah.
And it is like peak oldest daughter, oldest son energy. Yeah. God, they have to keep that. Please keep that.
I love it so much. And the comfort that Simon and Daphne find, the ease with their relationship after this tumultuous, like, first weeks of their marriage, is one of the things that I love about the books as they continue. And so we do get to see them and they do grow in their relationship. But like, that's what I love about book 2 is just how comfortable Daphne and Simon are. Just like, what? We're happy. And then we get the epilogue, trope watch, obviously.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with romance, the epilogue and the baby is pretty much mandatory.
Always. Or
to the
it's
point
either,
where, like, endless blogs have been written as to whether or not the baby epilogue is necessary. Like, I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah, and it's almost always a baby in historical romance. In contemporary romance,
it's usually an engagement.
It's an engagement or a wedding or a baby.
Yeah.
Depending on the progression of said couple. But there's, like, I get really upset when there's not
when there's no epilogue. Yeah.
In romance novels, I'm like, why did
How am I supposed to know what happened?
But I want to see them happy. They got to the happy. I want to see them in the happy. I get 10 more pages. What are you doing? So that's a big trope. Daphne gives birth to a baby boy, which in the books, their first 3 children are girls. They do name them alphabetically in the books, obviously different names because they're girls. But I forget what Amelia, I think, is the first one. And then the third child that they have, or the fourth child, is finally a boy, and that's David in the books. Clearly they've made the boy the firstborn here, which I think makes sense for Simon's story. And we get a bee at the window.
I'm gonna guess that's like the spirit of Lord Bridgerton, but I don't know.
And we get it a couple times throughout the series. I've seen a lot of videos breaking it down. It's weird we get it on I don't know if you remember this, when Lady Whistledown is talking about the couple that got engaged really quickly.
Yeah, he's there. It's the shot is on the doorknob, the door knocker.
Well, it's on the door knocker at Bridgerton House, but like when she's talking about the couple that gets engaged really quickly and they like leave on their carriage, the bee lands on the carriage, but they're like not Bridgerton folks, so I don't know what the bee was doing there, but that
I missed that. Okay,
put a pin in that, folks, for future. There's been lots of speculations about why that bee was on that carriage, because it clearly references the Bridgertons. I think what's your man Benedict has a bee pin on his lapel for a lot of this show, so it's referencing clearly a lot of Bridgerton stuff. But that's the final thing we end on for episode 8. Anything you want to unpack any more than that?
It was delightful. It has room to grow. We hope it takes that room to grow. We hope it doesn't lose any of its delightfulness. And we will once again block off vacation days for when season 2 is released.
Yes, we do have, when we are filming this, it is the end of February. We have season 2 news. It is coming. It is starting filming in March.
What we have seen from reports is March to October is the schedule.
With the COVID protocols complicating locations and filming schedules as per usual.
Yep.
But we're hoping for a December drop.
My guess is, like, with post-production and how they can do it and all of that stuff, that Christmas wouldn't be an illogical conclusion. And also Netflix tends to do things like the same time of year, so like The Crown is always the fall, and so it would make sense that Bridgerton could be Christmas. I think Christmas is a perfect time for this to drop.
It's perfect.
Because a good chunk of the world is, whether they celebrate Christmas or not, off on some sort of holiday, and so it's even countries that don't celebrate Christmas get Christmas off, so it's a good time for them, I think. Yeah,
it reminds me of the UK, where they always do a Christmas special for like the shows.
Yeah, so it carries that tradition in a strange way.
Yeah. And Netflix is real big on dropping things around the same time or symbolically. Like, I was just thinking of all the Stranger Things seasons that all drop on a holiday.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they remain consistent in that. And I will also be hopeful that they will remain consistent and not make us wait till 2022. Fingers crossed.
We are looking at everyone's social media. I follow everybody on Instagram. So if there is any updates, they will be in our other videos on this channel. So don't worry. If there's significant delays or significant coverage or anything else, if we end up filming more Bridgerton coverage, we'll be doing a recap episode for the whole season the way that we do for everything. But if there's more Bridgerton content, don't worry. We'll be happy to give it to you. But in the meantime, we got one more video for this season. And then we'll take a Bridgerton break from the telly, but not from the books, because I know I'll be rereading them again as we dive into more and more romance, historical joy. If anyone wants our historical romance recommendations, I know there was a commenter who was talking about the Sinster series from Stephanie Lawrence, which is one that I have read, but not one that Dr. Hinson has read. It's one of my mother's favorites. If you're looking for other historical romance, we can't recommend Lisa Kleypas enough, and diving into her Wallflowers series.
And Ravenels.
Sarah McLean has a new series coming out this year, and hers are always fantastic. The cover just got revealed this week. There's lots and lots of buzz happening in the world of historical romance publishing. So if you don't want to leave the ton, don't worry, you don't have to. So many tropes, so many brooches, so many orgasms, to be honest.
So many dukes.
All the dukes. In the meantime, we'll see you in a little bit for the recap episode. We'll see you in the comment section, and thanks for joining us.
Take care.